Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to look at a rousing speech from George Galloway that he made in the House of Commons on the 21st of March. He makes some amazing points. He's really articulate, so let's get straight into it.
Pomposity, but not a point of order. The right honourable gentleman said, we were careful to conceal some of our weaknesses, and then he adumbrated those weaknesses, and if there are more that he concealed, we're in very big trouble. But my point is this: we haven't the men, we haven't the ships, we haven't the money. So why are we picking enemies? I've lost count of the number in the course of this debate that we are either already fighting or may have to get ready to fight. That's the absurdity, the Alice in Wonderland nature of this debate. We can't retain even the low numbers of people that we recruit. Why? We ought to know why. The lions don't much like the look of the donkeys that lead them into war after war, which they later disown and admit should never have been fought.
That is actually so true with the amount of people that get taken to court after wars that they get sent to. I completely agree with that. I don't know if that's the reason why a lot of people aren't joining the army, but I am certain it could be quite a large majority for sure.
You know, Madam Deputy Speaker, to what I refer. I had a debate in the Oxford Union. The then Defence Secretary ran away, didn't turn up. I had to deal with his subordinates. But I made the point there. I was a boy soldier, Royal Artillery Battery 2, Army Cadet Force. I trained with the Royal Marines for weeks in Poole in Dorset. I am in no sense a pacifist. I want to defend our country. I want our soldiers to be properly paid, properly housed, properly clad, properly trained, properly armed.
Those are also that is a massive reason why people don't join the army. I remember when I first went to Iraq in 2003, me and all my mates went and bought all our own clothes to go because they didn't give us any desert uniform for it. So we all just went and paid our own, which was kind of crazy at the time. We all thought it was just normal, but looking back now, it was outrageous.
I've picked up Tommy Atkins, you know, stricken with addiction from Piccadilly Gardens in Manchester, just out of strange ways, addicted to spice, abandoned by the politicians that gaily sent them off to one needless, pointless, fruitless war after another. Don't come here and say you're standing up for Tommy Atkins. It's the donkeys that sent them to wars that even those donkeys now disavow that are the reason people don't join our armed forces. They don't trust these people over here not to send them into another Iraq, not to send them into another Afghanistan. And they are right not to trust them.
Aftercare for soldiers is terrible, especially for those soldiers that have no family when they leave. Some of them have no job prospects when they leave. They have no housing when they leave. That is such a good point. The aftercare for soldiers is horrendous in our country.
The truth is that our country is in very real danger of falling into the trap of Mussolini, going around the world threatening people with Germany's army. Our politicians go around the world threatening people with America's army. But there's a big change coming. Madam Deputy Speaker. They don't like it on either side of the aisle. But President Trump is coming back in November, and he doesn't much fancy their NATO. He doesn't intend to send American soldiers to die for Kupiansk or for the Zelensky regime in Kiev. He has no intention whatever of continuing their war in Ukraine. And I heard a senior member of the House say, if America withdraws from NATO, we're going to have to increase our contribution to 5%, 6, maybe 7% of GDP. These people seriously imagine that they'll continue NATO without the United States of America? What kind of NATO would that? Would really be Gilbert and Sullivan. Unless, of course, we're going to devote not 50 billion of our public treasure, but hundreds of billions of our public treasure on defense. Well, have any of these people seen the state of the public realm in Britain? Have they seen the state of the National Health Service? Have they seen the state of our streets, our public buildings, our public transport? Have they seen the wage packets being earned in this country? Have they seen pensioner poverty? Have they seen fuel poverty in action? Have they met people that have to choose between eating and heating? And these fools want to spend not 50 billion, but hundreds of billions on weapons of war that we're going to fight with an army that could fit into Villa Park.
That's amazing to think that you could just fit everyone, all the soldiers that we have, into a football stadium. Man, he's articulate, this guy.
70,000 soldiers can fit into a single football stadium. Madam Deputy Speaker, I was for some time the Member of Parliament for a naval shipbuilding yard, Yarrows on the Clyde, producers of excellence. I wrestled, not physically, but I wrestled with our late and lamented friend, Alan Clark, when he was the Minister for Procurement. And I won. I got all 5 of the Type 23s that were procured at that time. I want us to have a good Navy. I want us to have a good army. But not so we can sail it to bombard the natives in the Red Sea. Not so we can send a Gilbert and Sullivan squadron to the South China Sea like a pea shooter firing at an elephant, or a whale, in fact, in the case of the Chinese Navy. Not so we can pretend that our 70,000 soldiers and our aircraft carriers that break down and have to be glued together, our destroyers that crash into each other in the Solent. Not because I want to pretend we are a Rudyard Kipling era imperial power. That is the key problem, Madam Deputy Speaker. Some of these people still think we are in the 19th century, that we can send gunboats up the Yangtze and not have them sunk, that the natives in the Yemen are the natives we used to push around for a century or more. The empire strikes back, you know. The empire is actually bigger than us now. We owned India, now the Indians own us. Shall I take that metaphor further? The idea that this little country of ours, this dear green place of ours, with all of its problems and its enfeeblement caused by our economic decline and the rapid and massive economic advance of others, is still in a position to stand in this parliament, making dispensations to this battleground or that we can still slice our diminishing national wealth in a way that allows us to pretend to be an imperial power. I have time only for one last point. I was startled by the Right Honourable Lady, the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, when she told us that 2 billion of our defence budget is going on foreign exchange costs, meaning that not only are we spending 50 billion of British taxpayers' pounds, we're spending it in foreign countries. We're allowing foreign companies and yards to build our defence infrastructure in a way, as the Right Honourable Gentleman from North Durham pointed out, in a way that France would never dream of doing. So whatever we're going to spend it in Britain, spend it in British yards, in British factories. You'll save 2 billion in foreign exchange costs at the very least.
Well, I don't know if he's right about that, because obviously a lot of steelworks have been closed down and a lot of the dockyards have been closed down, and the parts that we have to get in for our aircraft carriers that essentially don't work anymore, they've come from foreign countries. So I don't think 2 billion would be enough, certainly to then to rebuild or restart and remanufacture from the dockyards and steelworks. I don't think that's going to happen. That would probably be 10 billion, perhaps more. I don't know about that, but the 2 billion is obviously saving the UK money. So I don't know about that last point, but I think there's only nothing left. Yeah, that's it. So wow, essentially, what a speech. I don't know how much you guys agree with it, but it had a lot of traction on X, which formerly known as Twitter, that everyone puts in there after X. But I think that was an amazing speech. It highlights everything that's wrong with the British Army at this moment in time. It highlights the recruitment and retention problems. It also highlights what was wrong with the recruitment and retention and why people aren't joining the army. Let me know what you think about this speech. I will be really, really interested to know. But I hope you enjoyed it. Take it, like and subscribe. Take care. Bye.